Welcome back to the KEMPIRE Daily YouTube channel. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the uploads. Don't forget KEMPIRE's Favorite Things is still available, celebrating Black and Brown businesses and entertainment. Check out that list in the description box for more details. Today's video, I just want to talk about Grey's Anatomy. I literally fell off from Grey's Anatomy maybe like 2 seasons ago, but of course, being at home during a pandemic, not that I'm not busy, but I said, you know what, let me catch up with Grey's Anatomy. And I fell in love again with the show. As you know, Grey's Anatomy was created by Shonda Rhimes, who recently, well, not recently, 3 years ago left Disney for a huge deal at Netflix. However, Grey's Anatomy is still available on ABC, and she still receives credit for it, but there's a new executive producer that handles the day-to-day. But they haven't lost after 17 seasons, this show is still so relevant. And I think partially because their cast is always evolving with new interns and things like that, but they're also so relevant. This season, of course, they had to cover COVID, and they're giving us a really great inside look. And I'm sure they did a lot of homework in regards to how healthcare workers are feeling. And one thing I hope that they examine during this season is that it's not just the doctors being affected by this pandemic. I want them to really start delving into the orderlies and the nurses. But this season, first of all, the last couple of seasons when I caught up, they really have been touching on everything that's been going on since the whole, even before the pandemic, when it comes to social justice, being Black, healthcare being a huge issue for people. But this season, they really do such a good job. And I know that a lot of the actors are also taking on roles as directors. So I think that's also playing a really important part on how they're really telling these stories. But the social justice issues that they're examining during COVID and how Black and Brown people are really affected by this pandemic, not having PPE, the protective gear that healthcare workers needed during this time. Very early in the pandemic, that was a huge issue for hospitals around the country. So but the thing is, it's not that they're just doing, a lot of shows do things just because they want to talk about what's going on. They do it so well that you really kind of like, wow, I never thought about what's really happening with these. You think about it, but you don't really feel it. And it's one thing to think about something, but to feel it, I mean, I can't tell you the amount. I mean, over the years, I've always shed a tear watching Grey's, but this specific season, especially if you've lost someone to COVID, I think it also even adds another layer of emotion while watching this. Watching Meredith Grey, suffer with COVID, you see her start to recover, and then you see her have a setback, and you see so many people dying. You see how the doctors, although they've seen death before, but they've never seen death like this on a daily basis. I think it's superb. I understand a lot of people want to kind of break away from the reminders of this pandemic, but I think it's important that we get a true perspective on what our healthcare workers have been experiencing during this time. I did a recent interview with one of the frontline physicians here in New York City for our podcast, Know Better, Do Better, Live Better on the KEMPIRE Radio Network. And just her talking about her PTSD from the very beginning of this pandemic, that alone will touch you, but to see them on every episode, and I believe you're going to see this for the rest of the season, because literally we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We're literally in the second wave of a pandemic. And I have to say, to the producers and the writers and the actors over at Grey's, they're doing a superb job. And the fact that they get new interns. I loved Grey's in the very beginning. I love the original interns. I still, part of me wants to go back and watch it, but I do love the new set of interns that came this wave. I love Schmidt glasses. One thing I do, and this might be controversial, I love Jesse Williams. I think he's a beautiful man. Okay, let's get that out of the way. However, I've always felt like his character just brought nothing to Grey's. And I'm so shocked that he's still on there. I'm so shocked that they haven't really given him more depth. I mean, everyone just kind of uses him to sleep with. I mean, to me, he doesn't really bring anything. And I think it was last season. It's kind of hard because I literally watched 2 seasons in a row. and they had a trans doctor, and it was sort of like, okay. And now this season, I haven't seen the trans doctor, and I feel like they could have built more around that character, because this whole, including Jesse Williams, either give him a better storyline or something, or I think it's time for him to go. Like, he's been on for so long. I'm just like, there's no emotional connection besides, oh, he's attractive for me. And although we did that with Dr. McDreamy, there still was so much depth going on with his character. And I just feel like they have not found that depth with Dr. Avery. Even his mother brings more to Debbie Allen brings so much more. And she sort of pops in and out throughout the seasons. I don't know. Am I the only one that thinks that? Either way, I am loving the new interns. Helm, who's in love with Meredith. She brings a lot. I love the fact that they're able to bring in this new blood, and it sort of refreshes the show, but you still have some of these old main characters. I did love seeing Derek come back, Dr. McDreamy. I did love seeing George come back, TR Knight. George's conversation with Meredith about, there's just so many spiritual messages just within that conversation. I thought it was so beautiful. It was beautiful to see him come back. And I have to say, Glasses, aka Dr. Schmidt, reminds me of George. And I wonder if that was the inspiration for his character. Anyways, this video is going to be too long. Let me know what you guys think of the past couple of seasons of Grey's Anatomy and what you expect to see in the future. And how do you feel about Dr. Avery? I know he's good to look at, but can we get a little bit more? Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the uploads. I'll see you tomorrow.